Lou here. Today, thanks to the number of requests I've received across every platform I post on, I decided it'd be fun to try and explain the Vocaloid song series called Evillious Chronicles. The Evillious Chronicles originally started as just Mothy creating the Pride song with Rin, Len, Miku, and Hakuyawane. From there, he would expand the series, which fans would call at the time the Seven Deadly Sins series. But from there, we reach multiple backstories explaining key important objects and characters, as well as the origin for something explained in Len's post-Servant of Evil storyline. This would then be named officially by Mothy as the Evillious Chronicles, a story that rewrites several famous stories we know throughout history and culture, and sort of puts them all into an insane melting pot. Though I should give a disclaimer that I didn't have the time to read the light novels for this video that explain things in more detail. I did read the manga for both Story of Evil and Duke of Venomania, both of which were under Mothy's approval, but I did my best to find the most important cliff notes for the light novels. Sorry about that again, but like I said, I didn't have time to read multiple light novels since I also had to read and analyze the lyrics of songs too. With that, let's begin. We do actually have a prologue song called Wordplay that kind of gives us breadcrumbs of the themes to come, which is sin, parental abuse, and vengeance. Next, we start the actual story with what I like to call the Barisal Not Twins. Behemo Barisal, played by Rin, is a feminine boy who loves dolls and dresses, while Levia Barisal is the daughter of the demon of envy named Rahab. She's also played by Len in the song because I guess she's more masculine leaning. This is already when things get really difficult for me to understand because it's just so much information in one song alone. But basically, Levia contracted hereditary evil razor syndrome, otherwise known as HER, which is a disease that gives like evil malice. More information on its symptoms and how it works is found in the song Bloodstained Switch with Mayu. We find out later in the song that HER is basically like a computer virus that's meant to destroy the gods or reincarnations of them. It's also not from the human realm. As I said, reading this was very confusing, but basically a dick we will know a little later named Seth Twilight tells her that in order to cure herself, she should kill her twin from a parallel universe. It ended up being a trick and caused more malice to leak into the world, I think, where Behemo and Levia became twins due to merging of their worlds, I think, and ascended to godhood as masters of the Heavenly Yard. We'll get to that mess of the afterlife way later, but for now that's the last we hear of them, sort of. After that we get another break in the prologue explaining a sort of rebirth effect. It's basically about how during a full moon, twins are supposed to sing a song that goes by Lulilala or something that destroys the world and rebirths it again. It's part of this whole prophecy thing that is pretty much essential throughout the entirety of this plot. As for that, that's the end of the prologue in this section. Okay, so Maria Moonlit is a character we don't see, but communicated with Behemo and Levia now that they ascended, and prophesied that the world would end if they're not reincarnated as humans, so she began Project Ma in order to create these twins. Oh, she's also the daughter of the twins. Yeah, incest is gonna be a running issue in this series as we head later down the line. Before that, she had twins of her own named Adam and Eve, but they weren't the twins needed to rebirth the god twins. Eve in particular was born with a high magical concentration and became a witch that was later captured due to her witchcraft and brought into Project Ma. Adam in particular being the father of the two to have a love story thing going on. It's also because he became the smartest scientist in the country next to Seth, by the way. And yes, this marks case number 2 of incest, so that's a thing. Going under manipulation and experimentation by Adam and Seth Twilight, Eve did end up pregnant with twin boys later named Cain and Abel, but when it was her due date to give birth, the twins were stillborn, and she was discovered to be infertile after this. Due to the manipulation and brainwashing of Adam and Seth, it caused Eve to lose her mind, where Adam ran away with her into the woods of another kingdom. Adam worked as a woodcutter while Eve remained a housewife as she began to mentally recover from this tragedy. Just as she was showing promise to get better, she discovered twin babies crying in the forest, where she hallucinated them as apples in her grief over the loss of her own children, and also hallucinated their mother as a giant bear. Now, the twins' mother is actually named Meta Salmhofer. I'll explain in a second, but we need to cut away from Eve running from this bear to explain more about Project Ma. During the Project Ma situation, many other women were selected to try and become the mother of the twins, because they become queen or something if they do. These women would include Irina Clockworker, Milky Eights, Lai Li, and Iluka, last name I'm not even gonna try to pronounce. Now, Irina and Iluka are the strongest candidates due to Iluka being a man named Kirill Clockworker's fiancé, and Irina having incestuous feelings for Kirill while Seth created them both. Oh, I should also mention Seth created Meta, Irina, Kirill, Pale Noel, and more because he's a crazy mad scientist and part of this apocalypse thing going on. Like I said, the story gets really hard to follow with all these characters that look alike and heavy lore. Irina ended up killing all of the contestants, including Iluka, but died during a cataclysmic attack while pregnant with twins. As she was dying, Seth transferred her soul into a red cat for some reason, due to her high potential of carrying twins. Except it turns out that Iluka was also revived via complicated divine intervention, and I think became the incarnation of the god twins from earlier. She blamed Iluka for the cause of the destruction of everything and vowed vengeance and turning the world into madness so she can receive a new body instead of a cat's body. But anyway, in the background of this was Meta, who became a witch and was going to face execution, except due to Seth's creation, he offered to spare her life and her lover Pale Noel's life if she had the babies. Finally, she had the damn babies everyone wanted so the god twins could be reborn. Except during the cataclysmic event, maternal instincts kicked in for Meta, so she took the twins and ran away with them so they wouldn't be used and abused in the system the way she was. Okay, so with Eve hallucinating Meta as a giant bear and the twins as apples, she ran through the forest to get away from the bear until she ended up killing her. This is when Adam gives us one of the biggest plot twists in Vocaloid music, where he reminds her that their children are dead and these children are not hers. Seriously, who else literally gasped when Kaito said that their children passed away and to return the children to their mother? 'Cause damn, I did when I heard this song as a preteen. Anyway, so she lets Adam know that it's kinda too late for that, and she realizes she killed Meta literally right outside their door. Well, since they don't know these children are the god twins, and they can't just abandon these newborn babies, they bury Meta and decided to raise them as their own. Yet just like the fairy tale of Hansel and Gretel, which is the name of the twins by the way, a famine strikes the country to a point where Adam and Eve literally can't find any food for the twins and decide to ditch them to starve to death in the woods. Unlike the fairy tale though, Hansel and Gretel assume their parents aren't their parents anymore, and that one is a witch and the other is her demon servant, which they technically aren't wrong since Eve did used to be a witch. Okay, so another super important thing I forgot to mention is that Seth Twilight is also trying to make vessels using several objects I'm going to list in a second, but Hansel and Gretel completed this project during the process of killing Eve somehow, and it's considered the first sin in this part of the story. Killing Eve created a key, thread scissors, a doll, a spoon, 2 mirrors, a wine glass, and a katana that are all the vessels of a demon that are associated with that sin. As an example, the doll is sloth, the katana is lust, and the mirror is pride. These demons are also some characters I mentioned earlier like Seth, Adam, and later characters like Banika Conchita. These objects of the 7 deadly sins were then scattered all over the world, where the chaos of the story really begins, if I'm being honest. Irina Clockworker's story, now that we're back to her, will also be collecting the vessels of sin from now on for nefarious reasons, I guess. The first object she finds is the Sword of Lust. Who does she give it to? That'll be for next time, because this series has to be done in quite a few parts. Seriously, I think this video would be easily 3 or 4 hours long if I tried to describe the entire series in one video. Plus, more parts means more engagement, and I could always use that on this channel. Can you believe all this was covering about 14-ish songs in the series? There's about 80-ish songs, give or take your assumptions on what's canon and what's not. So you can just imagine how much story I'm gonna have to explain in these next few videos. What do you guys think of this video? Next up, I'll be diving into the first Sin story, which is my personal favorite, Duke of Venomania with Gakupo. Sorry again if I got major information wrong. I feel like the song version and the light novel version kind of end up being completely different explanations for things, but hopefully I did a decent enough job at explaining the beginning. As always, let me know down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching! If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new. If any of you would like to help support my channel in any possible way, my Ko-fi page is down below in the description, along with all of my social media. For any subscribers, new or old, who'd like to help with video ideas, or maybe just want to talk about anime or something, I have a fan server linked down below. See you next time!